Hello, everyone. I'm Jean-Claude BeyondMystic, and welcome to this very cool episode of Three Dudes in the Desert. Of course, with me are my best friends, Joe. You can find him at jsnip42 here on YouTube, and also my best friend, Dave Bronan. You can find him at Empire Builder 11 here on Twitter. Gentlemen, welcome back to the show, man.
Good to be here.
Oh, hang on. Sorry, I'm like, why am I hearing you twice? I had the YouTube thing open. And
Okay, no
what the
hell? Joe, welcome to the show, man.
Oh yeah, good to be back and see Dave too, man. Dave's not on that much with us, so this is a good night, I think. I want to try to keep this to an hour if I can. So
okay. Well, you're the one with the gift of gab, so
yeah, I can talk a little bit.
Yeah.
Joe, you mentioned I hadn't been on much, and on Twitter, a few people have been saying, Dave, I haven't seen you on JC's show. It's like, hey, I'm just there once in a while, so it's good to join you guys again.
It's good to have you guys here too. It's like a hangout, and of course, for the folks out there who are just joining us now, who don't know what the Three Dudes in the Desert are, actually, this was a really cool series on my first and my second channel, but all of those videos were deleted. And of course, the concept of the Three Dudes in the Desert is Joe, Dave, and I are treasure hunters, and so we had shared with the audience here quite a bit of our adventures. So let's start here, Joe. I mean, I have
that picture. That's
my favorite picture. You're right. For some of the audience, okay, explain why this is funny, Joe. Go
ahead. We were like, oh, we need to take a picture. Like, let's get together. So, of course, Dave's got a nice big shovel. JC's got the giant pickaxe, and I'm like, there's not really anything left for me to hold. That's like worthy, I got this little tiny hand tool pick, like almost like a little toy. I go, oh, I'll look at this, and when you take the picture, I'll be looking at my tool like, what the hell is this?
So that's the latrine shovel. So that's what you got.
Yeah.
Like no. Joe's picking his teeth while Dave and I are actually doing the man work here.
You're sweating. I'm up there picking my teeth.
All right, guys. Okay, so that's it for the poster. So, folks, let me bring Joe up here. Joe, why don't you take a few minutes here to explain to the audience, again, for the new audience here, members who are just joining us, how we got involved with this crazy treasure hunting story. And don't talk about the spiritual stuff yet. We'll add that component to it because it evolved very much so into a weird spiritual journey of treasures, if you want to put it that way. But how do we get involved here with this treasure hunting for gold?
Yeah, it actually started out, honestly, my friend Pete had called me, Michelle White Dove friend, Can you mute your mic? That thing's driving me nuts.
Go ahead.
Real quick. So he calls me. He's like, I was talking to White Dove, and she might do a treasure hunt with us one of these days. And he goes, I want to do the Forest Friend one, and you, maybe you can find one that you're interested in. I'm like, well, I don't really have one per se. So I'm like, let me do a little research, and then I talked to my friend Joe Scorpion, the movie guy. I was just like talking to him about it, and he goes, dude, don't you remember I told you in 2012 I went out there in southern New Mexico, and I was contracted that if we found a treasure, we'd have a TV show, and I was out there filming and everything. And I go, yeah, I remember that. He goes, well, so-and-so is a friend of mine now that I met out there. You guys know him. And, like, he's got a million stories. Like, he'll probably be able to tell you. I'll ask him for, like, his best 5 or 6, So he gave me some on a Google map, Google Earth. It was, like, little pinpoints. Like, these are general areas that he thinks, and a little side story to each pinpoint, There's supposed to be this much gold there and this many bars over here, like that. So I'm like, well, I'll take all the pinpoints off, and I'll just keep the map like that, and I'll send it to White Dove and just ask, do you get that there's anything here? So I sent it to her, and she was really busy at the time, but she finally got back, and she's like, hey, first thing I asked Spirit, is she says there is a shit ton of treasure out there. It's still there. She goes, but the second thing, Spirit goes, you can't go. It's way too dangerous for you. And now that we've been out there, I realize, that's probably true. So anyway, so that got my blood flowing a little bit, like, oh, cool, okay, I might have something, So it didn't go any further than that. So I'm talking to the guy that Joe put me in contact with, who's now our friend, and he's like, hey, just come out. There's a few places, there's one place with this interesting rock that's like looking up at the mountain, and like I think it's pointing at something. I can't get up there. Bring your drone. I'm like, all right, sounds fun. So I went out there. I droned a few places. Saw some really interesting stuff in one particular, the one you guys know about. And, I'm like, I got to get back over there. So I send Sharon Michelle, another psychic, images of the drone footage. But before that, as I'm out there, Dick Algar sends me an email out of nowhere while I'm there. And he goes, hey, guys, he sent me and a couple of the team members over there, you know, an email, and we're all on it. So I'm reading it. I don't know what the hell he's saying. You know, I'm not expecting anything. Just, yeah, he's just saying hi or something. And he goes, hey, I just did an open remote viewing session, the VR5 session, which is like you don't get tasked, you know, you just ask the universe, show me something interesting if there's anything you want to show me. He goes, and I see Joe out in like the desert somewhere, and it looks like Roswell, New Mexico to me, like that kind of climate. And I see him like taking broad survey of the land. He's like in the mountain, he's looking, and next thing I know, I'm inside the mountain. He says, and I see this treasure. It's like an old rotting box of wood that's just falling apart. There's gold coins, there's crucifix, there's like chains, there's like a treasure. He goes, I studied it so hard, I'd snapped myself out of my session. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And he goes, I think it's cursed, and there's a problem with it, and this and that. So anyways, he sends, you know, a short story. He sends me that email, and I'm like, I was going home today, you know, never to return. I didn't think. And he sends me that. And I know how good he is. I go, okay, now you got me. Now I got to find where this is if he saw it. So I'm like, Dick, where is this? And he goes, well, it's a real steep ravine. And So I'm like, okay, I got to get more help. And something just told me, send some images of your drone footage of this particular area that you got to Sharon Michelle. Just that's what I got guided inside. So I did it. And she goes, picture number 6. That is the one. You're not just going to walk in. You're going to have to dig. And I see like a crack, and like you can dig down the crack. And I go, okay. But she describes a huge treasure down there. She sees in spirit, you know, past tense spirit of a shaman guy down there. Very, very sacred site inside of this mountain. Like if you go in, you can't be a jabroni. Like the rest of the tribe wasn't even allowed in, according to her, back in the day. Very important, very sacred. So I thought, holy shit, like getting interesting. But I didn't know at the time that was a different site than Dick Algar's. Now I know there's 2 different sites for sure. So anyway, so then I called JC first, and I'm like, I got to get back to this place. Like, you know, I think there's a treasure out here, blah, blah, blah. Do you want to go on a real treasure hunt? And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, like a serious real treasure hunt. Like I got drone footage, and Sharon Michelle and Dick Algar, I told them the whole story, and they're like, yeah. He's like, well, we got to bring Dave. And I go, you know, yeah, okay. Dave, I'm like, if you talk to Dave, call him and ask him, see what he says. And I hang up, and I go, I'm calling that bitch right now. And it wasn't that late. It was like, you know, 10 o'clock at night over here. Or whatever. I'm like, ringing. He answers. It's like 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning where he's at over in Poland. I didn't know that. Yeah. But he answers. I'm like, dude, hey, Dave. He was like, well, I'm up now. I got to get up soon anyways. I'm like, oh, shit, man. So I tell him, he's like, yeah, I want to go, you know. So we decide, let's go in January 2019. And Tito takes us to his site, which is this one particular site is like private land that we have access to. So it's the main site. So we get up there, and we're trying to find the way up, trial and error, wrong way. How the hell we get up there? You know, we figure it out, and I see the signs. I'm seeing someone's been here before us. There's carvings here. I don't know what all this means yet, but next thing I know, we're digging down. We find this rock that was a super important stone right by this crack. And I go, there's 2 numbers that are very important. There's one up there, and here's the other one buried right below it. This is absolutely the sign of all signs. We are here. And then we got stuck at the bottom of a crack, and we're like, well, now what? So then we found out, oh, there's more to the story. Dig down further a little bit away. So anyways, we went out in January, didn't quite make it all the way to, you know, the promised land digging. And then we came back in April, got a little bit, actually we brought some equipment up, I think, handheld stuff. And that was about it. We didn't do any work because we had this spiritual stuff happening, and the Indians inviting us. It was a real crazy, but awesome experience. And then I want to show some footage tonight, actually, that these guys, I think Dave saw a little bit earlier because I posted some stuff on Patreon. I was in New Mexico earlier this year getting some stuff out of storage, and it was really, honestly, a quick trip there and back. That friend I'm talking about that's up there, we spent like one day droning this one area he wanted me to drone, and then I go, oh, I want to send it back to the one area we did back in 2019. We have not been back to since, and because I thought I saw a little tunnel on this ledge out of the old drone footage, and I just didn't see it when I was droning, so, you know, or else I would have went right to it. And this weird anomaly is caught, I think, on camera. It looks like, oh, it's just a maybe the camera had an issue. Honestly, it does look like that, but I'm going, well, but wait a minute. I've looked at a lot of my own footage that I have not posted online, where there are other little black hot spot or cold spot, for the heat camera, that don't do that. And it's only around this area, and there's some more story to that our friend out in New Mexico had a very interesting experience right on top of that place. That's actually scared him and his friends away. But and JC had some interesting energetic knee wobbly thing in this spot too. So what do you want to do, go from here? That's kind of
okay, let me get Dave in here. So Dave, do you want to chime in? Anything in this introduction here that you want to add that might be pertinent for the audience here who are learning this story here for the first time? Go ahead.
Thanks, JC. Well, maybe a little context. We all came together through circuitous, interesting, synchronistic type of means. And then, Joe had invited us to ESETI, which is a very spiritual trip. And that did a lot to kind of spark for me some spiritual awakenings to add to what has already happened for me in my life prior to that. And these are all long drawn out stories I won't get into, but so that was the scene that was set before Joe made the call and before JC said, hey, who's going to watch my back? You need to bring Dave. So that's kind of a piece in here. I think that's important context. So we have a certain bond that's real strong, and we haven't known each other all that long, really. So I think that's pretty cool. But I think Joe described it pretty well up to that point. I can't think of anything he's really missing without going down too big of a rabbit hole.
Yeah, 3 hour.
Kind of maybe one thing I will say is we'll go there with the intention to dig. We're out to get the treasure, not necessarily get rich, but the treasure as defined by could be something that's important to humanity, maybe other artifacts, but also we'd meet people that would set us on a different course than what we expected. So that's part of why this was such a spiritual journey, not just for us, but for other people. And it's like a long list of people. So maybe that's the thing I'd contribute.
Okay, very good. And let me finish on that as well. Let me take this out of the way here. So that's Dave there setting up the drone on the Jeep. This is the famous Jeep that rolled over Joe. And also that's Dave there at the corner of one of our spots there. An amazing sight, as you can see. And you see that pyramid mountain in the back there. Absolutely beautiful picture. Okay, Joe, I have a question for you. Dave is kind of leading into this here too. Speaking about the treasure, explain what we now know through remote viewing and through some of the psychics is really in the mountain. Whereas originally we were looking for perhaps just Spanish gold and things of that nature. Yeah. But how did that evolve over time to us understanding what's really down there? So maybe break that down a little bit here for the audience.
Yeah, and I'll say through Sharon Michelle, she did some channeling sessions, like this is over a year ago, easily 2 years ago probably now. And some of the stuff she would say in there, like, just not expecting to hear about, like this is going to open him up spiritually to like levels he can't even comprehend right now. And she's like, in a few years from now, when he looks back at himself, he's just going to be blown away. Like, I was just a regular dude, Mm-hmm. And she said, other people like through his Patreon or wherever that are following him and like that feel drawn to him. Basically, he's got a big light. He's leading them. He's lighting their lights. And then they'll be on their own. They'll be on their path to start their stuff. Mm-hmm. And she said that, just to make a quick story short, or long story short. And then recent times I've been having channeling sessions with Julianne, which is Woo Woo Dude's girlfriend, and hearing the things coming out of her mouth during the channeling, and then other entities coming in to say the other things they need to say, like they're fighting over each other to talk to me. And I'm just like, whoa. And it was her who said, this whole area goes back to Atlantean times. There's a tunnel system down there that's huge, first of all, and it would lead to other areas of the planet through the tunnel system, way, 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 way deep down, and just huge tunnels. She says they're still there, and your particular area was one of the like gateways, if you will, to the system. So you're actually at one of the gateways. She says it's not in very good condition currently, but it is still theoretically there, and you could find it if you get in there. And she mentioned she says there's a damn UFO in that mountain somewhere. It's still there. It's ancient. It's by our means, it's still highly, highly advanced, but it's there and I'll find it, but I won't be able to operate it. It's just not going to be able to be operated by humans, period. But it still functions. It still would power up theoretically. And it may even power up as I, step inside, lights come on or something. And I go, holy shit. And I'm like, is it big enough for a human? And she's like, it'll accommodate whoever's coming on board. And I'm like, so this freaking thing can shift? Yeah, pretty much. And it's still operational. Yep. How could something be in a mountain for eons, as you've said, and not be deteriorated? She said, well, when you have that technology and you can visit other planets and they have other materials on those planets, that is made of those materials and they have certain properties that we don't have on Earth. One of those is not basically deteriorating or taking forever to do so, whatever. So I'm like, oh my God. And I'm, part of me is like, really, but I'm like, I've seen Stranger Things, man. And she's nailed some things that are just, I can't sit here and deny. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to listen to what she says. But she too would say, and when she first started talking about the mountain, and when I was talking channeling stuff, I never asked anything. She just instantly goes when the channel starts talking. And then she started bringing up the mountain and all this stuff and all this history. And our theory about the red rocks. I think this was stuff taken out of the mountain to make the tunnels, and they had tailings. She says, absolutely. Absolutely, that red rock is exactly what it is. High iron content. I go, wow, we were right. So when we look at those piles and see how many there are, oh my God, this must be a massive tunnel system network. So, but she had said, she's like, we would not have gotten you out there if it wasn't for the treasure. So that's how we got you out there. And it is there. She says that you will find it. It's there. But that's not the real treasure. Like, you'll realize at some point, oh my God, that was not stupid, but that's like, yeah, that's great. We found a treasure. Holy crap. But like, it's nothing in comparison to the other wonders you'll find in the mountain and what it's going to do to you at a personal level, spiritual level. You just have to wait and see, basically. And I'm like, wow, well, okay. And of course, I've had some experiences over there, one I still haven't gotten into yet publicly that you guys know about.
Right. And on that note, you just said Stranger Things. Oh, hell yes, Stranger Things. Dave, you and I have seen really weird apparitions, to call it that, on various trips. And of course, we were joined by Sarah and a few other guests who also had these amazing experiences there. So we're not just crazy. It wasn't just the three of us smoking who knows what, or peyote in the desert. No. There was something going on here. And they call Mexico, or New Mexico, the land of enchantment for a reason.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. And what's cool too? I found that every time we went, and this is maybe my little 2 cents worth in here, I found that we grew spiritually, and every time we went back, the mountain would welcome us even closer.
Yeah, just a little bit more, a little bit more, right? So we felt more at ease every time. And when I say at ease, you guys have to understand here that the region we are in is absolutely inhospitable. It will kill you. Everything there wants to kill you, right? And so that first trip we went to, before we met the Moon Tribe and the Sun Tribe, we had a few experiences with the Native Americans there. But they were like, you've been on that spot for like 3 months and nothing's happened to you? Like, they were all surprised that we hadn't been kicked off the mountain or been bitten by whatever, because it's an absolutely treacherous place, not just in physicality, but also from all the spirit world that guide this particular spot that we're on. So guys, it's an amazing story. We have a 1-hour show here tonight. We're going to try to give you a little bit of a taste of our experiences there. So Joe, why don't you maybe take the time here to set up, explain to the audience here how this footage came to be. So talk about the old drone versus the new drone that even more capabilities, so people who maybe don't understand what we're doing here will have a better bird's eye view as you start showing the footage here. Yeah, so I had a DJI Mavic 2 Zoom, and there was a Pro and a Zoom. The Pro had a better camera, but it didn't zoom. The Zoom has a great camera, just not as good as the Pro, but still fantastic, and it zooms. So I'm like, I want that so I can get close to something and then zoom into a hole or something, So I had that camera on that drone. It worked great. That's it right there on the hood of the vehicle. And man, it got great footage. We learned a lot how to use the thing, fantastic. And I always said, man, I really need a drone one of these days that has a FLIR camera, forward-looking infrared, or a heat-sensing camera. But that really raises the price tag. And they didn't really have any. I mean, they had a few things out there with like tens of thousands of dollars. And I go, God, I can't afford that. So they finally made the DJI Mavic Enterprise Advanced, which has it. It's got the nice camera with the zoom, and it has a freaking heat camera all in one. And I go, oh my God, this is it. So I got it earlier this year and just was playing around at my house with it, really. And I go, next time I go back, I'm bringing it with me because there's at least a couple places I want to drone with that thing that I've spotted in some previous video. And like, I need to go back there, you know. And then this
and
opportunity
explain
came.
why the FLIR is important in this particular area of expertise here.
Yeah, well, let's say there's, you know, a bush or something that's blocking a little hole and you can't quite tell. Well, you put on the heat mode, the heat camera mode, and you'll just see this big dark black spot behind her, meaning it's cold or cooler. And you go, oh, and it just kind of stands out like a sore thumb. Also, if there's a rock or something that's covering, let's say, a little tunnel, and you see the rock, but it just looks like a rock sitting, you don't know any better, and you're droning, you'll see the surrounding rocks at a certain temperature, but based on the color, and then you're gonna see this one, you know, jabroni rock that's black or dark, and you're going, why is that one not as hot as the other ones? Well, because the theory is underneath, if there's a tunnel, it's really cool in these tunnels in the mountains. So the bottom part of the rock is cooled. The top part, which is outside, is heated like the rest of the rocks. But since the rest of those rocks don't have something cooling them from the bottom, this rock is not quite as hot as the rest, and it stands out like a sore thumb. Even if it's a couple degrees, it stands out like a sore thumb. So I'm like, I got to have one of these for that reason. And so I had an opportunity earlier this year to bring it up there, and I had to get some stuff out of storage. So I got it, brought it back. It was just a quick trip, but our friend out there was like, hey, let's meet up on this coming Sunday or whatever. So that at that time, so I met him. He goes, I want you to drone this other place. There's this big like monument rock looking thing down below. I want to check that out. And I'm like, okay. So we go and I do it. It's a new, I mean, we've passed by this area. We've never stopped and drone. And so I do it. And then I can see this other place that you and I and Dave, we've been to. It was one of our first places he took us, where that big, I'm not going to say what it was, embedded on the side of the wall that was carved in there. And so I flew it over there because I'm like, I know I saw a little hole, I think, with my other drone. I need to go over there. So when I sent that son of a gun back, oh boy, is there a hole there for sure. And it's hidden. You can't see it from anywhere unless you have a bird's eye view. You're muted. Yeah.
This is around the bend where Tito and I were having huge body reactions to something. Okay. Maybe explain that to the audience here, how we feel our way around the mountain. It's not just the electrical gear or the, what do you call it, ground penetrating radar stuff we had. Right. We also use these spiritual gifts that we all have on the mountain. So explain that a little bit. Yeah.
So he brought us there and he's like, hey, you want to go down there and see this carving? And I'm like, we're like, yeah, why not? You know? So he takes us down. It's a little sketchy getting down there, like, oh, you know, be careful, you know, because it's real steep right there. But we get down there and we're just kind of hugging. You know, these mountains are just layered, you know, layer after layer, like big, gigantic steps, you know. So we're on whatever layer this is, who knows, second or third or something. We go across, like there's this big, beautiful thing carved in the mountain. Like, oh, how cool is that? You know, so we keep going. Go around the corner, and there's this big chunk of like the mountain that like just cracked, and it's kind of fell back on itself. There's nothing to it. There's not like a secret entrance. It's just a big crack, gigantic crack up the mountain. So we're just walking and talking, you know, just he's telling us some stories and stuff, and we get around there, and I thought you might have been in front of me. I felt like maybe you were in front, but me and Dave were like after you. But you and Tito were up there, and then you guys went around right there, and as soon as you went by this crack, you're like, whoa. Oh my God, my legs are my knees are, what was the word you used? Not tired. Do you remember the word you used?
Wobbly.
Wobbly, yeah. And I'm like, we need to take a break, or you need to rest. And you're like, no, I don't mean physically. Like energetically, they just got wobbly as hell. And I'm like, okay. And you're like, I don't know, like I just walked through something, and you're like, and then Tito's like, oh my God, bro, you know, every time I come down here, I get this weird feeling right over here, you know. And I was like, okay, well, that's you and him. Okay, that's interesting. And so we kind of continued on, and we went around this little, it's kind of like this half a bowl shaped thing, you know. But there's apparently a layer above us that you can't really see. So you don't really recognize there's a layer that you could kind of walk on and hug it yourself against this mountain. But again, bird's eye view, you can see this. So we walk around this and then come out, go up, and go around. And there's just like right before you get to the very top again, because you can go down one way and go around like we did and then come out a different way. And we went up, and he goes, oh, come over this way real quick before we go to the top. He goes, I want to show you these vertical or horizontal cracks. He goes, look, there's stains. This is smoke stains from like hundreds of years ago. And we're looking at it going, oh yeah, like absolutely. So if there's smoke stains, the Indians were in here lighting fires, doing ceremony, and the smoke came out of the top. So we were in there like shoving my little snake camera in all these different holes. Like, come on, and they get stuck. Like, shit, pull it out, try to push Dave, bend it. We're all like 3 of us trying to get this damn thing. And it just would only go so far. And like, okay, well, we don't see anything, this crack must go way far in, But then we went out to the top, and that was kind of it, So like, okay, so then he was like, well, I got to work the rest of the week. You guys go there, like drone all these places. I go, okay. So that's what we did for like the first week, was really just droning all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So this is that spot in particular. And there's some history at this spot. And I don't want to mention the guy's name, but he was known to have found some stuff a long time ago. And there's proof that he did. And apparently he left some, we'll just say some tools behind, hidden, partially in a tree and partially in a bush next by the tree, at the very top of this place. And one of those things could be used to pull stuff up from someone down below. So I'd heard that, but still we walked it, we looked around, but we didn't see anything, So now I got this drone, and I go back there to get some shit out of the damn storage that we had up there. And, we had that little generator stuff. I just didn't want the thing getting rotten with fuel and all that and a couple other things. So anyways, I'm up there getting the stuff, meet him up there for one day. And I fly his little area, checked it out. Yep. And then I go back, and I'm looking at both the HD footage and the heat footage.
Mm-hmm.
So I have it on YouTube. So I'm going to.
Okay, so while Joe sets that up in a share screen here, I want to bring Dave on the front video here. Dave, explain to the audience here your perspective of taking part in this treasure hunt, how it completely changed your life also, and maybe share with the audience some of the highlights of these trips that were maybe before going on the trip absolutely unimaginable to you in the context of what we thought we were going to get into. Speak about that a little bit.
Wow. I'll go back to what I was saying earlier about the spiritual things that happened along the way. And it was primarily triggered by who we met. So we had an intention to do one thing, it's digging, but we'd meet something and that totally changed the trajectory of what we're doing. So I'm going to be careful about naming names, but there are people who needed healing. So we would do a lot of healing work. There are people that could help with blessing the sacred site at which we were working. And we had some amazing experiences there where we had seen and heard entities from maybe another dimension, maybe a fifth dimension, I don't know. You might have a better way of characterizing that, JC, but let's say of a spirit, more of a spiritual realm. And just, for myself, I'd already been on a spiritual journey that had certain points where it kind of ratcheted up. There's something that happened with my son some years ago. And then when we went to ESETI, it ratcheted up again. And even when my brother died some years earlier. So, and we're seeing that with Joe. Like Joe, he's blossomed so much during that time. And I know you asked me to mention like my growth, but working with other people was part of that. And our triune group, you, me, and Joe, working together, magnified. The sum was greater than the parts. But what I've seen with Joe is like the dreams he's having, the premonitions he's having, and now it's rubbing off on Evelyn. That's really amazing. So that's what I'll contribute. And maybe you have some other things you want to steer me towards, but that's what comes to mind.
Maybe explain to the audience here what you mean by that triune. For a lot of people, they're like, whoa, what is he talking about here? So there is a bond that galvanized between the three of us. Maybe explain that process and how it impacted us individually, but also collectively on this mission.
So when we each met each other, like you met Joe through a unique set of circumstances. And I remember you saying when you first saw him on YouTube, you just knew you were going to meet this guy someday, and it'd be maybe 10 years in the future or whatever. For me, I met Joe through a very circuitous, synchronistic series of events having to do with crypto. I saw you had the Bitcoin icon up there earlier, and helping out some other people. But so now you and I each, through our own path, met Joe, and then when we went to ESETI with your respective wives there, and I was there as the fifth wheel. We had a lot of experiences there. So we had a very, very strong bond already. And when you take 3 divine masculine, if I can be so assumptive to say that, if we take 3 divine masculine males, that creates your triune pattern, however I want to orient my triangle. And the power of us 3 together magnifies our individual power more. So when we would do something that's of a spiritual nature, it was even more powerful. It had even more effect, whether we're helping to heal somebody, whether they're helping to heal the land, or just going about, just minding our own business. And we go into the crystal store and we meet the Indian lady. And, there's a story I think you'll tell better than me. And I don't know if it's suitable for this time limit that we
we'll have to skip it.
yeah. So, but that was pretty amazing because it's like, she kind of,
well, there you go, folks. That's just a little bit of a taste of what happens when you use sacred geometry, not just in friendship, but in spiritual work and also on mission work. And the 3 of us were able to achieve things that never in our lives we thought we could achieve. Again, individually, but also collectively. And that feeling of knowing when you're in this, like I said, very desolate place that wants to kill you, knowing that you have 2 other guys who have your back, and that feeling of security that brings at that high level, it's bar none. I've never experienced that. Some people might have experienced that during war times, but this is the closest you can get to that feeling of having your life in somebody else's hands, but especially here in this triune unit. It's absolutely
and not
amazing.
just the 3 guys, JC, but it's the spirit support we have.
Yeah.
When we go to that mountain, it feels like we're coming back home to me. And I think you guys would agree with that.
Yeah, they allow us to be there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We basically asked for permission, essentially, and they've given the permission. Yes, you guys can come here, and we'll help nudge you along too.
Right. Exactly. Okay. Enough of the woo-woo and the spiritual stuff. People want to see this drone footage of yours, and perhaps, and again, energetically, there's things that Joe cannot show you in the drone footage. Dave and I know that. We're trying to give you a little bit of a taste of what we're doing here. And what's interesting in this whole story, if we can put it this way, is every time Joe and Dave and I went there, we were this close to the treasure, but there's always something that would just hold us back from that last little thing, every little step of the way. And we came to realize that it wasn't time, right? So everything has its time, and basically humanity needed to also rise up in their frequency in order for a lot of these secrets to also be revealed. And we understood that we were part of this unearthing of our history, not just the treasure we're talking about, the gold, but the history of humanity, which some of it could tie back all the way back to Atlantis here. So absolutely a fascinating story, guys. But enough about that. Joe, let me bring up your share screen here and explain to the audience here what we're looking at here to situate them.
Yeah, so first of all, there's an unlisted YouTube video I put up for Patreon. So it's already been processed, it's going to be a little bit slightly grainy or whatever, like it does on YouTube. But I had to piece it together, so I don't want to have to pull up the originals right now and find the time frame. So I'm just going to use the YouTube video. Okay. So this is the FLIR camera, forward-looking infrared. They don't make these typically on a drone that's high def. Like you get 640K. If you get a 640 resolution, you got the best one out there. So the drone had it, and I go, okay, I'll take it. So it's not the greatest quality, but you can clearly see. So right where my mouse is the hole. So we were walking down here, and honestly, just for perspective, our head height would probably be here at best. So you got another 8 feet or so to get up to this ledge, and you can't even get to you might have to bring a ladder or something. So
Joe, anyway, is there a way you can maybe zoom in a little bit from where you are?
No.
Zooming in your window, like you do on the Mac?
No.
No? Okay.
Unless hold on, maybe I do a Control Plus.
No. Okay.
Let me go on the right screen. Hold on.
Oh, there you go.
No.
Okay.
All
right, keep going.
So I'll just play it, but if you look, okay, so here's the tunnel, okay? It's right here. As you can see, now there's a few settings on this drone, the heat map you can select. Do I want real colorful, where red is hot or whatever, or blue is really cold. You can do all these different heat. There's just a few heat maps, maybe 5. There's white hot, black hot. I like white hot for whatever reason. I've played with it. So black, and this means it's colder. It doesn't mean it's cold, like it's freezing. It just means it's colder than the surrounding area. And the darker the black, the colder it is compared to the surrounding area. So up here would be the hottest, as you can see, the whitest. So this would be the hottest part. And then you have the cave opening. You've got some brush and tree stuff down here, so it's cooler down here. And then you have these little dots like all over the mountain. So to me, I'm like, okay, these are little tiny cracks, little tiny holes, you know, maybe water poured out of them a million years ago. I don't know. But as I moved, and I got close to the hole, like they just, in a synchronistic way, they all just kind of moved like out of phase, like they're stuck in time. And it's just weird. Let's just watch it. And I thought, well, it's probably just an artifact, you know, of the camera. But I went and looked at all kinds of drone footage I took of this area. And every time I record, it automatically does the heat camera too. And I'm seeing places that have little dots and stuff. Not as many as this, but plenty. And it's playing. I'm just probably talking in the background. And none of them respond this way. None of them actually respond this way. So like, keep your eye on this guy as I get closer, because I do get closer. And like stuff over here, you'll see like this one's in the tree. There's one, like this one's in the tree branch. Like, I mean, what is that? How could that even be? It's a tree. Like you can see, it's one color. And then you have this weird artifact right here. So like, watch this guy, watch some of these guys over here. And just as the drones, I'd make slight adjustments to like get a little bit closer. Let me zoom in a little bit. It just acts really weird. And I thought, well, it's just an artifact maybe of the camera, kind of mess, whatever. But I looked at every one of the other ones actually, and it doesn't do this. So you'll see in just a second. And
what's the elevation here, Joe?
Well, here I don't know, honestly.
Okay.
But for where I'm at, if you were standing there, it'd only be about 20 feet above you.
Okay.
If you were standing there. So there's the hole. You can see it's really dark. But then watch that little guy on the left. Like, it just moves. See it? It's like it's moving. Yeah. And some of the ones on the right do that too.
Yeah.
And again, I'm using compressed video here to show you guys, because this is the YouTube version, you know.
Yeah.
And it does a little pixelation crap, but you can still kind of see it. But look at all the dots in the trees, like where I'm circling in the video over there, and you'll see them kind of do a similar thing whenever, when it moves.
And Joe, the opening itself, do you have another picture of without the clear so you can show the audience?
Yes,
Holy
absolutely.
shit. Okay.
Yeah, it comes up next, actually.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, I was talking while I was kind of, showing my Patreon people.
Yeah.
Like what I was saying, check this out, whatever. But it comes up. So I remember backing it up to show them. Now let's look at this, look at these ones over here this time. And you'll see them do kind of a similar thing. See it? And I'm going, it's like they're not, it's like they look like they're attached to the mountain, but then when I move it, it's like, no, they're kind of just off of the mountain.
They look wavy.
Yes, like it's just, and this does not do that anywhere else. So it's like, well, maybe it was just the camera, just for whatever reason. But okay, well, I've got a ton of other footage that I went through. And and I'm talking footage, just around the corner or from here is the pig face cave thing. So it didn't
know how these holes look like they're wavy? That's that same feeling when you're
wavy,
standing there.
Wobbly legs.
Like, whoa, what the hell is that? Right.
That's a good point.
Yeah. And Joe, is this only when you're using the FLIR camera?
Yeah, you can't see none of that without FLIR, which you'll see in a second, because I showed them. Here's what it looks like.
The waviness is what I'm referring to specifically. So do you see any other things moving in your normal?
Yeah, no, there's no waviness in any other footage, period. There's none of the black things doing the same thing either with the waviness. It's literally around this hole, this area. It's the JC wobbly leg area. I mean, where he got wobbly legs is off to the right. Staring down is to the right. Mm-hmm. Probably, I'm going to say 80 feet, maybe 80 feet away.
And other FLIR footage, you don't get this artifact or this behavior?
Not even kind of.
Wow, okay.
So we'll let that go because the HD is coming up.
Yes, Chris is saying a cloaking device to hide the entrance. Interesting.
Right, yeah, there's no telling. Like, and again, and I remember Dave and JC, we were kind of told, and we even came up with this ourselves. Remember, we were like, every time I come to the mountain, it's like the mountain's unlocking a little bit more. Like, oh, I didn't see that last time. Oh, I didn't see that last time. Like, it's doors are opening for us. So once again, didn't see that last time, and we walk right by the damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, we're gonna let you see it this time. And matter of fact, just out of the corner of your eye only. And now that I came back, I'm right there, right in front of it, front and center. And if I could go over there and just go in there, I would have. But we just didn't have time. And believe me, I saw it with the drone. Like, I didn't have to replay the video to go, what's that? Like, I knew what I was looking for, and I went right to it. So I'll just wait for this thing to.
Well, while that's loading, I'll just mention I'm listening to an audiobook from Dolores Cannon. She's the one that developed the quantum healing hypnosis technique, QHHT. And this book, it's an audiobook. It's like 14 hours long. It's amazing. Wow. It's called The Convoluted Universe. And there's a lot of downloads that come in that book. It's amazing. But part of the downloads are there's lots of places on the planet, or certain places on the planet, where there are portals to other higher dimensions. And, we could be flirting with stuff like that in this spiritual place that we're at.
Yeah, and Jeff is saying Skinwalker Ranch. Yeah, there's again, we haven't told you all the weird shit that happened there already. But yeah.
So now I'm adjusting the light here on purpose on the drone.
Okay.
So that I've noticed that when it's dark inside, you make it really, really bright. The white light or whatever, you white balance, and then that happens. So you can really see inside. But I think I take the drone down a little bit, and then you'll see like, oh yeah, it does go back. Like there's a black spot where you go, okay, yep, it goes back.
Simon says, Crypto says, the wavy feeling is the UFO. Maybe.
Here,
so other people are saying, oh, it's the heat wave. No. These are cold spots. There's no heat coming out of these circles. It's the contrary. Yeah. So it's not
that
heat.
Black is cold, represents cold.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's
so
how I have
thinking, they're moving because you see the heat coming off of it. No, actually, this is the cold spots.
And here's the thing. This particular side of the mountain only gets a little tiny piece out of an area you can't even see right now. So really, this area kind of stays shaded the whole time, like all day long.
Yeah, there's no radiant heat.
Right.
Yeah.
Not on this side. So anyways, and then there's this kind of big rock off here to the right that I think honestly was put over here to really conceal it, probably at some point that someone has moved. So let me continue. I don't know if there's much left of this. Yeah, that was kind of it. All right. So I can stop sharing my screen.
And so do you want to explain a little bit how this location... Wait, maybe I don't want to say that. Is there any more that you want to say about this particular location and why?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell
stories. Let's just say that. Let me
actually. So I had a couple people texting me. Make sure.
Yeah, Claudette says, "Oh, those are cold spots." Yes, thank you. Yes, the big distinction there because we're looking for the cold.
And our friend at the Trissel store, I got her. She goes, before that place closed down, she goes, I was basically just pocketing the cash, not spending it. She goes, so I've got some cash and I want to get in. And I go, give it to me. Give me your cash and I'm going to get you in. So she was just texting me about, I was like, you want XRP? That's the one. Just I'm going to get you in it. So she's like, well, but what if it doesn't go to So whatever.
Okay, right, let me just take a quick pause. I just recorded today. Let me bring this up on the screen. Why can I not bring it? Oh, I think it should come up. Where's that? Oh, there you go. Okay, because you were using your screen. So let me take this off here. So just today, I recorded this month's Beyond Crypto Woo with Janine, and there is a segment in there about XRP. I almost fell off my chair. So you know how Woo Woo Dude had this crazy fucking number the other day about XRP? Well, go listen to this segment. Right now, it's just available for the Insider Access Pass members. Of course, you guys have it before everybody else, and this will go live on pay-per-view probably Sunday night here. So anyways, dude, XRP, yes. Anyways, going by Janine here, and she's been on fire in the last couple of months and all of these reports. So absolutely fabulous. Fell off my chair.
Nice.
Yeah, and just just for the hell of it, I'm gonna go back and I got a video up now. I'll just share my screen real quick.
Okay.
And just to give you an idea, like here's another area. This is the area Tito wanted to just check out for the hell of it. There's not, as far as I know, there's nothing here to even be worried about.
Pablo Pina is like,
you,
what was the price for XRP? I'm like, I'm not telling you. You got to go watch the episode, man. Oh my God. All right, let me bring up your screen here. There you go.
Right. So here's like this little ledge that has had like a crack, under
this
it.
Is where we're trying to snake the camera in?
No, this is a whole different area. Never droned it. Never.
Okay.
And honestly, I don't think there's anything to be concerned about here, but you'll see now this way is opposite. So the sun is facing directly at this and up above. So that's why there's a bit of a shadow below, which of course shadow means it's cooler, therefore it's black. So because it's cooler. So just try to find, is there the wavy thing happening? Are you seeing any kind of, even though there's not the black dots per se, there are crevices that have black, and it does not respond that way. It looks exactly like it is. It's live, it's fast. It's drawing the picture, the scene very quickly. Actually looks really good. And it's just not doing what you saw before. Not even kind of. And I'm just showing you this one video. I could sit here and pull up video after video of this, of different areas close by that it does not do that. And believe me, I've already looked. So that's why I'm telling you this, because I want to look like an idiot saying it does, and then I go, oh wait a minute, it's doing it there too, and there's not anything there.
Full Moon says, just say it. Is it closer to 22 or 222? I'm gonna tell you, it's not even close to either of those numbers. Yeah. Absolutely nuts, man.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm driving. At the time I did this months ago. So I went and looked at the video. I looked at that, the one I just showed, not that one just now, but the one before with the hole, the cave or whatever. Yeah. I looked at it, but my eyes were like focused on the cave, because I'm like, oh, I knew it was there, and I'm just looking at it, and I go, okay, well, when we go back, me, JC, and Dave, we're gonna have to go over there. But something was like, oh, look at the video again, like, it's been a while. So I went and looked at it, and then I noticed that little wavy anomaly with the things out of phase, like they're out of time or out of phase. It's just weird. And I go, what the hell is that? So I go, hey guys, we need to do a little YouTube video on this. Check this out. So I, talked about it. So I tell our friend Tito, hey, when we were a while back, we did that thing, and I was over there, and then I flew across the canyon and all that. He goes, yeah. I go, there's this weird anomaly of these black little dots, which represent cold or colder temperature than the surrounding area. There's quite a few of them. And I go, I thought it was on the mountain, but then as I moved the drone, it looks like, well, somewhere in bushes, somewhere like suspended in air almost, like these little black things. And I go, it's the strangest thing. And I said, it was in that area where JC got the wobbly leg thing, and you go, oh my God, every time I come over here, there's like a weird thing. I have this weird feeling. And he goes, do you remember that story I told you about the black, like there's this noise that sounded like a rock stuck in a tire. Tat, 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 tat. And then I told you it got louder and faster. Tat, 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 tat. And then I look over and there's this big swarm. And I thought it was like insects. He goes, I think it's a swarm of bees. And he said, I was there with my son, our two other friends, whatever. And we're all like, what the hell is that? This is the weird, what sound is that even do it? Like, what is that? And he said it got closer and closer. By the time it got close enough, it didn't come like right at us, but it went right in front of us and went by us. We saw the weirdest. He goes, I don't know what it was, but it scared all of us. And he goes, my friend was like, when I got here, Tito, I really felt bad. And Tito said, he goes, I said the same thing to him. He goes, I kind of got a bad feeling today. Like something's not right. He goes, but everything was fine. So we got out of the vehicle and walked around and we're talking and all this. So he goes, Joe, I don't think I ever told you where that was. And he goes, when we saw that, they were like, let's go right now. Let's go. I'm like, they wanted to leave right away. So we got in the vehicle and left. It kind of scared us. So he didn't do anything to us, but it was just, we'd never seen anything like that in our lives. And I thought it was a swarm of bees until it got closer. It was this black dots of stuff. I don't know what the hell it was. So he goes, did I ever tell you where it was? And I said, no, you just said you were up on the mountain one time with your son and your friends. He goes, it's directly above where you're talking about. Basically, they were hanging out where the tools were found a long time ago by his friends or whatever, right, of the guy who was successful and found the thing that could pull stuff up that they kind of hid in the bush. So that guy had died in, natural causes or whatever. But I think he just, he'd already found enough. And I'm sitting there driving home. This was recently. So I was out a little ways away from my house. So like I had about a 2-hour drive, I think, to get home. And I was just thinking about this whole thing again because I just discovered it, days ago. And I'm like, oh, what is that? What's in there? So I'm like, all right, Spirit, I'm driving, you know, and sometimes I'll be like, show me this on a license plate, something ridiculous. And they'll, if the answer is yes, and they'll show it to me. And I'm like, come on. So I say to them, okay, I haven't seen an 888 or a 999 on a license plate. As a matter of fact, I don't even remember when the last time I've ever seen that. So I go, if there's something of interest, really of interest in that cave hole, that tunnel leads to or whatever, I need you to show me an 888 and a 999. Can I see both? And I go, honestly, one would probably be fine. If I saw either of those, I'd be okay. And I said, you know, it doesn't have to be 888 in a row. If there's 3 8s on a license plate or 3 9s, I'm okay with that. So I said it just like that. So immediately, car to my right catches up, passes 88. Okay. All right. Not 8, no, not 3 8s anywhere, but there's an 88. Okay. Second car passes me right on the right again, 88, a license plate. Third car passes, 88. Fourth car passes, 88. And I'm going, all right, Spirit, we're off to a pretty good start here. Holy shit, man. So a little while later, I see like the 8 space something, then 88. I go, you got it. I go, okay, Spirit, you got it. And then a little while, 999, like spaced, 9 something 99. And I go, son of a bitch. So I'm like, I got a little bit of time until I get home. They call woo-woo dude, like, dude, you know us in the woo. Like, man, check this out. I was just talking to Spirit in the car, you know. And I go ask them for the 88. I'll tell them that. And I like, they just gave me the confirmation. So I'm sitting there talking to them on the phone. And, you know, of course, you know, pure coincidence. I look to my left. A red pickup truck is going by. And it has 898899 in the license plate, just like that.
Yep.
898899. And I go, holy shit. And I said, I was just asking if there, and the thing was, when I asked Spirit, is there something of interest? I specifically said, is there gold or silver, like treasure bar or something in there? Is there Spanish armor still in there? Is there artifacts that would be really interesting to find? And matter of fact, maybe even petroglyphs inside. That'd be okay, you know. But then I go, wait a minute. Yeah, it'd be neat to see petroglyphs, but really, I'd really like to see the gold, the armor, artifacts, rather than a petroglyph, to be fair. And I go, Spirit, take the petroglyph thing off. If the other things are there, please show me the numbers. And then that's when it happened. Then I go, okay, 88 goes by, 88, 4 times, 4 cars in a row. Literally, not one car went by like, oh, 2 passed, and then another one came and it was 88. No, it was fucking 88, next one, 88, next one, 88, next one, 88, all in the right lane. I could literally see all 4 before they, you know, went out of view. And I go, we're off to a pretty good start, Spirit.
Yeah.
And then I see the 8 space 88 and the 9 space 99, whatever it was, like a little bit later. And they were separate.
Folks, that story is crazy enough if it was just one event. But this keeps happening over and over and over with everything that has to do with our dig site. We've seen these numbers and these crazy synchronicities. And again, at some point you're like, okay, am I crazy? Did you see that? Everybody else sees that.
Yeah.
So
there's 2 numbers that you and I know about, Jay. All 3 of us know about.
Yeah.
One was on the mountain wall, and that's what led us to dig in the spot where we found this huge number, the other number. And we're like, oh my God, this is it. Yeah. You know, we're in the right spot. So we went to dinner that night. Before we went there, we're like, you know, we only got a few days, like 2 or 3 days left. And God, I'd hate to be digging in the wrong spot, especially because you guys are doing most of the work. And I'm like, let's just pray. Like, let's do a little
my muscles are still aching.
Yeah. Like, let's hold hands, 3 of us, stand in a triangle. Let's do our thing and just ask, guys, are we in the right spot? Please give us a sign that we're here, you know, in the right spot. So we go to dinner that night. We meet Tito at this one particular restaurant, good restaurant, you know, and they hand us the effing number that's on the wall. And I go,
as our table placeholder. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's like 30 to something of the 40 numbers the waitress told me because I asked. And I go, whoa, okay. So the next trip, which I think was actually, no, this was the trip when I think I hurt my knees from the Jeep running me over. And you guys were like 2 days behind me at the airport. So I got there 2 days early. So I'm driving the rental vehicle and I go, hey, Tito, you want to meet up at that same place? It's just me. You know, I'll be seeing the guys in a couple of days. Yeah, let's go. I got my son with me. I'll meet you over there. So I hang up. And this would have been, I think, maybe November or whatever, or no, September, when I hurt my knees the first time, I think. I say the first time because we went back in November. So I think this was September of 2019. I hang up and I'm like, okay, I said, I'll see you in about a half hour. My thing says I got a half hour. Or no, it was an hour. a half hour into the drive, I just recalling all the shit that happened with us and the mountain and the number being put on the table and just how they could do that shit. And then also the drink, remember the drink, which I'll get to in a second, the hot chocolate, because this plays into that. So the day after we got that number on the table, we go back to the site. We're cooking. JC's cooking some hot chocolate for us because it was cold. In
some apple turnovers on
that
fire.
Too. Yeah, little tiny campfire thing, the little heater,
JC,
the gas.
Chef JC in the mountain. Yes,
Jean-Philippe. So he goes. So he's like, I see him like counting our cups without saying. He's like 1, 2, 3. Looks in the box. He goes, and I don't want to say the number, but he goes, okay, there's supposed to be this many packets in here. I just poured you, me, him, that's 3. Look. And I go, oh my God, there's the other number.
Yeah.
Like, you're not getting an extra packet out of cocoa from Nestle or whatever, or extra 2 or 3 or whatever it is. Yeah. You're not getting extra packets. We got extra packets. And I go, holy shit, man. So that was the end of that trip. So this next time I'm talking about, I'm recalling what had happened. I'm Tito, let's go meet at the restaurant again. It's just me. And a half hour into the trip, I got a half hour left to get there, and I just start recalling everything, and I'm feeling so grateful and honored, like that these spirits have done, spirit guides and all this stuff have been helping us and guiding us and giving us signs. And I'm sitting there having a conversation in the car with them. No one's in there with me, and I'm like, I don't know how you guys do it. You put that number on the table, you gave us the sign, the hot chocolate. Like, this is incredible. I don't know how you guys do it, but I'm so thankful. I'm just so grateful for everything you're doing for us and helping us with this. And I'm honored that I can do this. And I've been given permission and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I am going to that restaurant tonight. I say this to them. And I'm like, you've already blown me away. Like you have. And if you don't do anything, it's fine. But it would be kind of cool if you just threw a little something out there like, oh, well, So I get to the effing restaurant. There's Tito and his son. Let's go inside. And I see the pile of numbers by the register. And I'm going, where's those 2 numbers? Where are they at? I don't see either of them. I go, well, I guess that ain't happening because they're on the table, I guess. And I pay for the meal. He hands me the other number. The one you didn't get before. The hot chocolate one. Yeah, and I go, and I show Tito. He looks at it and goes, oh my God. He's like, you remember the last time? I go, yes, I have a picture of it. And I'm going to take a picture of you and your son at the table with this one. All right. Yeah. Sat down, took a picture. And I go, Spirit, you're killing me. You made that guy choose this number for me, essentially, without him knowing you did that to him.
Yeah. Right.
But in all kindness, it didn't hurt him. He didn't get mind controlled per se. So I'm like, how many signs does a person need? So, and again, I'm asking the other day, if there's something in there, please show me these ridiculous numbers that I never see. 888 and 999. And they don't have to be, Spirit, to be fair, you could have a space or, the last car I see is 898899. It's got both of them right there. And I'm going, whoa, okay. Mind blown. I'm out of here. Like, okay, done. So I want to go back there. Now, I have been asking at night, please show me a dream. Please show me a dream. And they're not giving me. So maybe the Guardians or whatever, that thing is that we saw, that wavy, is like, nah, kind of like you, JC. You can't look. And they're like, oh, okay, take a quick peek. I'm not even getting a quick peek. It's like, no, you're not even going to get a dream about this right now. So I'm like, okay. But they'll still tell me yes or no, there's something in there. With that confirmation I got, I don't need any confirmation. I'm like, okay, so there must still be something in there.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't get it all, or maybe there's different levels. They didn't go down far enough. You never know. And we got to get back there, man.
Joe, you're getting the
speaking of numbers
wall situation, can't look past the wall.
Say that again. Oh yeah, like the white wall. Penny Kelly's.
Yeah. You reach the wall, you can't look past. Now,
they're like, well, we show you, other entities might see it. Maybe that's behind it. Like, okay, so I'm like, all right, that's what I tell myself. To make me feel better.
So let me do this. Speaking of numbers, speaking of confirmation, and speaking of treasure, folks, if you haven't seen my video with Cliff High and David Morgan, go check it out. Of course, $600 silver was in the Webbot data for many, many years, and apparently we are here now. So go check out that video and check out his explanation when I ask him, why is now different? Because we've been hearing this for many years, and the cabal, or whatever you want to call them, keep kicking the can down the road, printing all of this money. And I said, Cliff, why is this time different? So guys, go check out the video.
Hold on, do you
Why
see that?
is different, and it'll blow your mind.
You see the comment? Obi-Wan Jabroni.
I love that. I love that. Anyways, Andy Sheckman from Miles Franklin knew that I was having this conversation about treasure tonight. So he says, JC, I can't be there, but please give this treasure to your audience. So this is the weekly special here for the Beyond Mystic audience. You can get the 1 ounce silver Philharmonics at the 365 over spot. So that you can find that at beyondmystic.net /silver. And Joe, let's talk about that very quickly here. You saw the video course with Cliff. There's been a big hoopla about it all week. What's your take on this $600 silver here before Christmas and how that ties into everything we're seeing right now? The federal government talking about these new digital currencies, the China problem that's happening, right? Like it's just absolutely crazy. What's your take on all of this?
Yeah, I mean, normally it's like, oh yeah, sure, we've been hearing that, they'll just kick it. But again, I feel strongly myself saying, I don't think they're going to kick the debt ceiling can this time. On purpose. Mm-hmm. Not that we couldn't come to agreement, the Republicans or the Democrats, they're going to say whatever they have to say. But there's a plan, I think. We're not doing it this time. We want this baby to crash. We want it to go down. The dollar's going to be in trouble. All on purpose. So if it's all on purpose, then that, I think, would feed a silver price explosion. Mm-hmm. Because, oh my God, the unthinkable just happened. They did it. This has never happened in the history of our country. Yeah. Oh my God, now what? It's going to, people may flip out.
And
so
check this out.
I would say...
Go ahead. Keep going.
I would say that's very plausible in a scenario like that.
Mm-hmm. And what Cliff was saying in his video, I believe yesterday, is that this Evergrande situation is going to force the CCP. They're probably going to be the first one to revalue gold and silver to get out of this bond debacle. And of course, the states might follow suit because of the debt ceiling, as you just said now. These were just two little things out of everything where he said this time it's different. So guys, go check that out. And Andy was telling us, again, why this time is different. He was on the show the other day. He hasn't slept in a week, guys. He sold 18 tons of silver last week. Never in his career have they sold that much in 1 week. He's saying, JC, it's absolutely through the roof. So people are realizing, so not just your audience members here, they're buying and then they're waiting for their next paycheck to buy more, like everybody's buying, but also people who are just spooked right now in the bond market or the stock market, they're going all out and they're saying, okay, here, Andy, here's 5 million. Can I get some silver? Right? So something really weird is happening right now. And I think time is of the essence. And if you look at all the forecasting from Penny Kelly, from Woo Woo Dude, Michelle White, all this, like it appears we're here now. And again, this is without having the conversation about the temporal markers that Cliff had been forecasting conjunct with the $600 silver, which are all happening now fast and furious every day. So crazy times, guys. Go ahead, Dave.
What would be the average or the norm for how many tons of silver that Miles Franklin would sell? They did almost 12 tons.
18
right?
tons. So 600,000 ounces last week is what he said. I believe that eclipsed by a factor of 10 their normal weekly sales. So he said it's just absolutely through the roof. And he's to the point now where he's saying, if this continues, and it's not just us, there's other dealers having these issues, where are we going to get the metal? Here's the problem.
It become unobtainium.
Yeah, they're getting to that point of saying, where are we going to source the metal? So he says, I'm already at a point now where I have to order stuff that's a month, 2 months out. That's usually what they do. And he's saying now, who's going to fill these orders? Because we have this huge investment demand and we have this huge industrial demand that's absolutely like 50%. This is what David Morgan was saying in the show. He says, at some point, there's just not enough. We have a yearly mining deficit of silver. Are we close to that event? He's saying, I don't know. And his dad, he had a conversation with his dad who used to run the business before him. Right. This was just a couple of weeks ago. And his dad said to Andy, says, Andy, what happens when that guy calls you, that billionaire, says, I'm going to take, $500 million today off of you? Do you fill the order? What happens to all the other customers in line? There's none left. So what do? He says, I don't think you've thought this through, but this is the moment that David Morgan was talking about, the run to metals that is about to occur here. So absolutely fascinating. And again, here in this Beyond Crypto Woo report, we went back, Janine and I here today, to look at that $600 silver, because it's not just $600. As Cliff said, that's just a starting point to let you know that the system's broken. After that, we're looking at 2,000. And again, Penny Kelly was at that number for February.
And remember, we would do stack of coins, 10K, 30K, 50K coming.
Exactly. Anyways, guys.
It's talking about multi-generational wealth.
Yeah, just off that.
That's what Cliff and David were saying, that by December people were having conversation of this year, this is in the Web data, that they would be having conversations of how to allocate this 3 or 4 generations down the road. This is how valuable the guy who has, you know, a couple of 100 ounces bars suddenly becomes. So it's absolutely incredible. So guys, go check out Beyond Crypto Woo. It's available now for the Insider Access Pass members. It will be available to the public on Sunday night. In the meantime, if you want to become an Insider Access Pass member, you can do so here with this new available yearly pass. And we have a coupon code.
Go back.
Stay connected.
Hold on.
Yes?
Look at your messages at the top.
Messages at the top.
There's a little message thing up there. There's a special number right above.
2222.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Come on,
I can't
man.
make this shit up. I know. Look at that nice 3, the triune. Okay, that's very good, actually. Hey, it's good you picked that up. So, folks, if you want to stay connected with us, please use the coupon code Stay Connected. Janine and I added another week to this. Of course, there's a lot of weird things coming up in the data also where we're expecting some blackouts in some of the payment processors. I'm having some issues with that there. I was talking to Joe and Cliff about this yesterday. And of course, the banking issues here too. So if you're already behind the paywall, you'll continue to have access to all of our material if there is some weird issues here with the banking system moving forward. On that note, Joe, have you talked to Woo Dude any recent news about these weird blackouts or maybe disruptions in the banking system? How close are we to
None of that stuff. Yeah, not anything new from our last live stream or anything.
Okay.
But we were kind of looking at that volcano too. Like, you know, that thing could still have caused some problems. So he was getting that it wouldn't be as bad as they were hoping, the bad guys, but there was still gonna be some problems. So
yeah.
You know,
wow.
And stay on before we go. I want to tell you a quick story. After
okay, and very before I go to, there was a lady in the chat. I believe it was Lori. Let's see if I can find her tweet here. She said, "I just read in the news that I can't trade XRP because of a lawsuit?" ? And of course, we're talking about big numbers. So yes, Lori, that is the FUD, what you call the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. I can't find your tweet. So you need to maybe educate yourself. And if you want to do that, you can do so at jsnip42 here on YouTube. And Joe, talk about your Patreon and how you help people navigate all of this FUD here in crypto world.
Yeah, I've got a couple of like a part 1, part 2 crypto 101 to help you get into like Coinbase, make an initial purchase, move it off to your wallet like Exodus, or send it to Mandela or some other exchange, do a trade for XRP or Theta or something else, take it off of there, bring it back to your wallet, stuff like that. You can also do an exchange right on the Exodus wallet. So if you were to buy something on Coinbase, send it over to your Exodus wallet. Let's say you bought some Litecoin or Ethereum, send it over to your Exodus wallet. Then you do an exchange for that into XRP right on the wallet. They do charge several percentages points for a fee. So if you use an exchange like Mandela, it's 1/10 of 1%. But it's a little bit more complicated. But I've got videos that show how to do it.
Okay.
So on Patreon, you know, and if you don't find it, which you may not because I've been posting lately.
And what package do they need, Joe, to
just
get
the middle one?
This? The middle one. Okay, so this
America's,
is Canadian, so it's $20 a month. America. Okay, very
that
good.
Middle one, that's it.
And Dave, what's going on with you? How can people contact you? I've got your Twitter address up here. What can you share with the audience here?
Yeah, the best way to reach me is I'm actually on Twitter more than I should be these days, but Empire Builder 11, that's on the screen right now. And I'm also on LinkedIn. That's a good way to reach me, where you can find out more about my professional background. Yeah, so that's it.
Okay, very good. And of course, the treasure hunters extraordinaire. All right, Joe, Dave, anything else we need to say before we go? I know you want to stay online.
Yeah, no, just
anything
wish
else?
Everybody luck. Stay strong. Keep your head in a swivel. You know, let's ride through this shit that's coming. You know, together.
And Cliff was saying just yesterday, it wouldn't surprise him that some of these results that might come out here very soon could cause the media blackout that he was seeing in his forecast. So stay prepared, guys. If that is the case, you know what's going. So stay calm and hold the line. Don't drop into the fear frequency. But again, educate yourself by watching these videos, by sharing this information with everybody else so that we know and we have the tools and the knowledge to be prepared and ready for all of this stuff that's going down now. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. This was a repeat of our first inaugural series of 3 Dudes in the Desert from my first channel. Absolutely fun to have Dave and Joe back on the screen with us. Absolutely fun. So guys, thank you so much for joining us here on the Friday night show. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And